this is Beck and Rachel, and together we are Innocent Eve.
With John Broughton on Retrospectives on Casey Radio.
Just to begin, there's not a great age difference between the two of you, so who was the first of you to really show an inclination towards pursuing music?
Well, that's a tricky one. We both, from the moment we could talk or walk, were, being sisters, were pushed into music, or it was just all around us, really. So it's kind of always been there. I guess I got into songwriting. That's Rachel. Got into songwriting a little bit earlier, but then Beck was in bands earlier. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
But there was a fair bit of music in the house growing up?
Yeah, there was a lot. Our family on both sides is quite musical, but we grew up in a fairly unique situation. The farmhouse where our mum and dad still are was our grandparents' house. So our dad's mum and dad lived there, and so did our mum and dad and all of us kids. So there were 3 generations of us all in the one house. And Granddad, Dad's father, he was a very accomplished pianist, and he always played the piano, and his daughter, Lorraine, was our music teacher, so our dad's sister. So, yeah, it was all through our life growing up.
So do you think without that influence, you both still would have gravitated towards music anyway, or do you think that really was the springboard that needed to be there?
It's hard to say. When it's so much a part of who you are, I just can't imagine being any other way. You know, Mum would say, she loves to tell the story that I was singing before I was talking, so maybe it's something that's just inherently in you. I really can't say.
One of the naturally wonderful sounds in music is the sound of siblings singing together. Can you recall your first attempts at harmonising?
Yeah, again, I can't recall it. I mean, we were singing, because we grew up in such a really small country town, we were kind of the musical family. So we were singing at church or any community event, one of the Olsson kids, they'll get up and do a song for us here, there or everywhere. So it was probably the earliest memory would probably be in the old hall. Dad would have been singing something probably, and we would have come up and just stood beside him or on his knee or whatever and sung with him, I'd say.
So being sisters, obviously a great advantage in harmony singing, but aside from that, what do you both see as the key ingredient to harmonising successfully?
Oh, I don't know. It just seems to happen, to use a really hipster word. It's a really organic kind of thing. It's not something that we've ever, tried to think about too much. We don't really analyse it. It just is something that we do. And it's something that, Mum and Dad would always say, well, pick a harmony. Or even when we were growing up, Rachel would start singing and someone would start doing one harmony, and then if you got on their note, they'd say, this is my harmony, you get another one. So you were always trying to figure out another harmony to add to the mix, I guess. Yeah.
So tell us about those pre-Innocent Eve bands. Was there any connection musically between those bands and what you're doing now?
I was probably in just a pub sort of cover band in my early 20s, but probably 5 or 6 years after that. We have a younger sister, Catherine, and us 3 sisters and another friend of ours, Tamara. We were in a 4-piece girl band, and I guess we were both in the same band there. And whenever we see either of those girls at a gig, either our sister or our former bandmate, Tamara, they will almost always jump up and do a song with us because, we have very fond memories of those times.
Yeah.
And I guess the one thing that carried through was the harmony from that.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing we really enjoyed about being in the four girl band, because there was just harmonies going left, right, and centre. It was a beautiful sound.
And I'm sure there's a story to the origin of the band name.
Yeah, definitely. That farm that I spoke about earlier, where we grew up, the name of that property is Evelyn. And one night Rachel and I were thinking about, one day we're going to write and record our own music and we're going to drive around the countryside singing it to whoever wants to listen. And And we thought, let's think of a really cool band name, so we're ready. So we sat there thinking about a band name, but really just reminiscing on our childhood and growing up on that home farm called Evelyn, and what an age of innocence it was. So we just kind of combined that age of innocence with the property Evelyn, and that's what we got.
Beautiful. Now, you're both obviously very close, which no doubt helps in the collaborative process, working together, but do you still occasionally have moments of butting heads, as siblings can often do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But with the 30-odd more years of experience of, living together and doing life together, we are very, very respectful of each other. So even when we do have disagreements, and we don't really have a blue.
No.
We can. I think probably because we do know each other so well, you can read the signs. Just the body language, the tone. You're just like, oh, 2 steps back. I might just go over here.
So how does in general, how does the songwriting process work between the two of you? What's the extent of the actual collaboration?
Well, we actually tend to write very separately. There's really only one song that we truly collaborated on and worked together, and that was on our first album. We tend to have our own thoughts and ideas, and we pen those things and then bring it to the table in a fairly whole form, and then allow the other to listen and have a look and give their feedback, and then we kind of mould it together from there.
Let's talk about this new record. It's been a challenging time, of course, with your health issues, Beck. But I would assume this new album, putting it all together, would have served as a beautiful distraction from all those personal challenges.
Yeah, I mean, the timeline of this album isn't really what it looks like out in the world at the moment. I know we've only just released it, but this was a complete work, well over 12 months ago. So when we wrote these songs was really more like 3 or 4 years ago now. Probably putting it together happened all well before 2020. Yeah, so...
It has been a long time covering overall, because I think I saw November 2018 was when the first seeds were planted for this record.
Yeah, that's when we were in the studio. Seems like an age ago now. Of course, there's a lot that goes on after the actual recording process with mastering and all that sort of thing. But yeah, seems an age ago.
But back then you probably couldn't even contemplate it in November of 2018 that the finished product wouldn't see the light of day until February 21.
No, and this was the first project where we went, all right, let's really nut out a great strategy. And we had timelines for timelines. We were so organised, and we'd budgeted. We had all the money set aside for the videos and publicity and all the stuff. Everything, we had spreadsheets. And, it probably, like no other plan, was absolutely derailed. But that's okay. We got there.
You got there. That's the main thing. Now, you crowdfunded the album, which on one hand must be a great feeling of, must give you a great shot of confidence and feeling that acceptance and validation from your fan base, knowing that they're willing to put their money up front for your work. But is there another side to it as well? A little bit of pressure on you, feeling like you've got to live up to that trust that the fans have put in you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we never doubted that it would get out there to those people, but it more than anything, it's that shot in the arm to go, you know what, these people believe in us, and as you say, like they're ready to put their money where their mouth is and support us in creating it, not just wait for it all to happen and then grab an album. That was a really beautiful thing, and we were unexpectedly surprised.
So, if you could place a theme on this album, a common thread that runs through the songs, what would it be?
I don't know that there is one,
What's that? Maybe honesty?
Yeah, it is brutally, not brutally honest. I hope it doesn't sound brutal when people listen to it. But it is a very honest account of, our perspective on things that have happened and things that we've been through.
I was going to mention that the songwriting itself is very candid and direct, and is wonderfully honest. Is there a time perhaps where you feel a little bit of tentativeness about getting yourself out there so widely? Is there a line that you sometimes feel, oh, maybe I shouldn't go that far?
I think back in the songwriting phase, that is definitely present. But I think too, when you are working your emotion into a song, you kind of work it in a way that it's not, you don't give away absolutely everything, because sometimes it can be unrelatable when you do that. I think if you can write a song that conveys an emotion without it being too prescriptive, keeping it a little bit open and a little bit vague at times, it allows people the opportunity to hear what they need to hear in the song. So in that way, we don't tend to get too concerned about, the details going out into the big wide world.
Now, Matt Fell, your producer, he has a great body of work behind him. What for you did he bring to the table that made him the right fit for you guys?
Matt, just for a start, he's really respectful of your songs. Like, it's as though he just kind of lifts them up. He elevates your music, and I don't know, he's just a bit of a magician. He can hear what he's going for, the end result, before, just from listening to you strum the guitar and sing the song. And to watch him work, when we worked with him on our EP, we were really blown away at how respectfully he crafted our songs and then how he elevated them. So there was no doubt that we were going to go back and work with Matt again for this one.
And he not only did a sterling job on production, but he brought a lot with him in the terms of variety of instrumentation as well, playing a lot of instruments himself. How spontaneous were some of those additions? A touch of ukulele here, a dash of banjo there. Did those ideas sort of spring up during the recording process?
Yeah, I mean, like Rachel said, it's like he hears the song and he does not lose sight of the essence of what your song is, but he somehow at those very early stages can hear where it's going, and we don't have any idea. We just kind of get to stand back and see it all unfold and all the colour of the song come to life. I think even though he does have that really long way down the track sound in mind, he does he's very open to trying things and creating some sounds along the way, and some he takes and some he leaves. He's quite experimental and spontaneous.
There's a range of emotions on the record, and in the old days, back in my day, a lot of attention would be made to the album in terms of sequencing the tracks to achieve that flow of feels and emotion. Is that something you still give a great deal of thought to, even though people can pick and choose and play tracks in any order they want?
Yeah, absolutely. That was something we deliberated on for quite a while, and something that we also talked to Matt about. He had a big hand in doing that for our EP, and we talked to him about it for this one.
Actually, this time he said, how about you guys come up with what you think first? Because we said, can you give us your track listing? And he kind of threw it over to us, and we came up with ours, and then he said, that's exactly what I agree with. And he's very particular about track order as well.
Because those people who do still buy an album and listen to an album in its entirety, you're right, they need to be, they want to go on that journey.
It needs to flow.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of changing moods, one obvious change of mood comes with the final track, The Rant, which... it was literally just that. You really left us with plenty to ponder on that one. Tell us about the writing process there.
So I wrote that one, Rachel, and I was just really cranky. I don't know if it was election time or something, but I was pretty annoyed, not just with politicians in general, but the media portrayal of different things. And I felt like everybody was just kind of voicing their opinion rather than fact, and maybe working for themselves rather than for what was best for people. And I did get quite angry, as you probably could tell. It just came pouring out one night, And I played it, I remember playing it to Beck, and she was like, I love it, but I don't think we can do that. Like, seriously. And then, played it from that, and same thing. He gave it this really beautiful, simple Dylan-type, Bob Dylan-type sound, bit of an anthem sound, which I just love, the simplicity of the music. And, people can take it or leave it. It was how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah.
And as we said, honesty is the theme.
Absolutely. The song 24 is another one which lays it on the line, perhaps a bit more of a personal one than a political nature. Who is responsible for that one?
That was Rachel again. And again, she was a bit cranky. People were annoying her.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like that one's also fairly self-explanatory. I don't mind people being busy, but it's when they think they're more important than everybody else. It really, really bugs me.
And it also came with people kind of disrespecting other people's time.
Yeah.
Placing more value on their own than somebody else's.
Now, the most recent single is 3/4 Time, which is one of yours, Beck. Feeling of sadness and melancholy in that one. Can it be somewhat healing, personally, to write a song of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. And I needed to write that song at the time I wrote it, which I think is probably the case with most songwriters. It's a part of the process of getting through whatever you're dealing with. But yeah, I mean, I had quite deliberately moved away and sort of isolated myself, and I was living a long way from everybody, all of my family and friends and things that I belonged to. And I was, I was on a bit of, Rachel called it a soul move. I needed to figure a few things out on my own. So off I went. And in the pursuit of aloneness, I obviously struck some loneliness, and that's when that song came about. I was in some pain, and I was quite lonely, and I guess I was also feeling a little bit foolish because I'd done this quite on purpose. But yeah, I'm sure I'd hoped that other people would be able to understand that feeling of just wanting someone to come and be with them, not necessarily to fix anything, but just come and sit with me and be with me.
Yeah. And you're a teacher by trade, I believe.
Yeah, we both are, actually.
Oh, you both are? Where are your students of your other life?
Mine are in Billawheeler and all around Allied Dawson Valley, which is in central Queensland. It's a very, regional, rural kind of place, and a lot of these schools only have 30 or 40 kids in them. But Rachel and I both do relief teaching now, so because of music and things, we don't do full-time anymore.
But it is funny, sometimes they Google you and find you on YouTube, and then the next day they're like, "Oh, are you famous? We saw you on YouTube." Well, everything's relative. Anyone can be on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and everyone's famous in a small town, darling.
So in terms of overseas interest, has there been much happening there?
Well, we went overseas a few years ago and played in Nashville in the Bluebird Cafe. That was interesting.
Yeah, we've got there's different things we've done. We've done some online stuff. I mean, I don't know one thing we're not very good at is the paperwork side of things, so I don't know how you track how these things are going overseas. But we've done some really cool online shows over to New York and to Ireland and places like that. And we know we're getting some play over in the UK, so that's all really exciting. Yeah, like I said, we're pretty terrible at the finer details of that kind of end of the business.
And in terms of 2021, what are the plans in terms of touring and promoting the album?
Well, probably post-COVID and post my neck surgeries, we've kept our gig schedule quite sparse this year. My sort of singing capacity isn't quite what it was at this point, and I'm still definitely recovering vocally. We've got some good spots lined up.
Yeah, we've got 6 or 7 festivals we're really pleased to be playing at and be a part of. And at this stage, that's probably enough for us all in Queensland. Unfortunately, we'd love to come back down there, but just at this stage, we're keeping a little bit local.
Well, it's something we can look forward to just the same.
Yeah,
definitely. As soon as it's possible, that would definitely be on our list to get down there.
Fantastic. Well, in the meantime, what you've got yourself here is an early contender for the Australian Album of the Year. I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations on it, most certainly, and all the best, Beck. I hope it's nothing but good news for you from now on.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I'm feeling good about it.
Thank you for a wonderful batch of songs, and we'll keep spinning them down here until you finally get yourselves down here to play for us. We'd love to see you.
Great. Thanks for your support.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.